and we're ready to go. It being the evening of April 23rd, a quorum being present of the Bellingham Conservation Commission, I will open the meeting pursuant to Governor Baker's signing of Senate Bill 2475, an act related to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency. The Bellingham Conservation Commission will meet utilizing the Zoom online option. Instructions and invitations are available at the town website, www.bellinghamma.org. Moving forward in the meeting, the chair instructs the meeting administrator to withhold access to speak at the meeting until or unless such persons requesting to speak are visible on screen and respectfully request such access. Greetings, everyone. We will proceed to the opening of our first continuation. The Bellingham Conservation Commission will hold continuations of public hearings in accordance with the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Bellingham Wetlands Protection Bylaw on the notice of intent for the proposed roadway mitigation along the site frontage entrances to Curtis Apartments as required by Mass DOT, including installation of additional catch basins connecting to the existing system at the easterly end of the site and within a 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetlands. The site is located at Assessors Map 51, parcels 4, 4A, 4B, 6, 8, and 161, 163, 167. Mechanic Street, Bellingham. Keith Linking, Chapel Engineering, Marlboro, Mass. has submitted the filing on behalf of Russell Dion, Campanelli, Braintree, Mass. The continuations will be held online via the Zoom option on Wednesday, April 13th at 7. Okay. I see Jeff is here.
Hello.
So it looks like we have finally made progress.
Yeah, absolutely. Has the commission been made aware of the plan that I sent over to you guys yet, or?
Yes.
Right. So I reached out like with a letter to Lincoln. Haven't really had any discussions about plans. I wanted to kind of work to make sure that that plan was going to be approved by the commission, so we didn't have to go back and forth with them too much with any revisions. Want to kind of take one bite of the apple with them. But so far I've not heard any response back. It seems like they've bounced some emails between some people at Lincoln and a guy at Bearings. I think that might be the new owner or the new property, the management company for that site. So it looks like I should hear back from them soon, but we're pretty confident that this is not going to be an issue with them. They may want to try to turn it into a deal that's fortuitous from them, but I'm pretty confident that we're not going to have any issues with making this move forward through them.
Okay, I'm going to suggest, even though the information has been distributed, if perhaps Jeff, you'd share your screen and call that up, and then we can go over it. It's, if my recollection is correct, it's exactly what we were contemplating.
Yeah, let me see if I can pull up some other. I have a locust plan as well, just to make sure we're all on the same page. Sorry, Bluebeam is acting up on me right now. All right. Can everyone see my screen currently?
Can.
Yes.
So I added some red markings on it just to kind of keep everything clear, especially when I'm getting ready to explain to Lincoln. So basically, from what you can see in the overview plan, A is their forebay, B is their spillway, C is where the head wall is for the actual existing outflow pipe, D is the approximate area of where we have some ponding, and E is the approximate area where we're going to get the discharge to. So it's hard to see the faint topography, but we basically tried to guide it along the existing topography to try to minimize any of the any cut fills. We've been talking with JRD, which is a respectable site contractor who's most likely going to be doing the road work for us. They've also did the forebay and the road work for Lincoln. And they're probably going to be going in there with like a ditch witch, some type of, and a mixture of hand tools, anything that would be any equipment that would be walk behind man motioned equipment, not anything that would be no bobcats or anything getting in there. So I don't think we're going to take any trees down or anything. That I think that'll minimize our impact to the maximum extent. This is our approximate kind of cuts, and you can kind of see just generally how much we're able to kind of dip through the existing contours to the existing cross section. So we're not doing a bunch of cuts and fills and moving of soil. Looking at the cross section, we're looking to do something really simple. It's basically approximately at the base, at the thalleg, I guess, as I was educated on. I had never heard that word before this.
Thalleg, that's a good one.
Yeah, it was my my Scrabble word. If it was 5 letters, it could have been the Wordle for this week. So approximately 1 foot across, the same width at kind of the bottom section, where it roughly flattens out. Same width as the diameter of the pipe, but obviously with the shoulder, the stone would go up, and the height of the shoulder would kind of depend on the topography around it. But it would be rocks. We would anchor the Marafi. The Marafi would go under, and we would use basically 8 inches of riprap, some type of river rock that would be good filtration material. And this basically shows the channel profile of what we'd actually achieve. Obviously, when they show these, it looks a little more exaggerated than what it actually is, but conveys that we're going to probably be a little over 0.5%. I think is what when we were I was walking it and we were doing the math out. I think it's going to be a little over half, maybe 0.6%.
Well, that should be sufficient to maintain positive flow.
Yep, absolutely. And you can see here a lot of the stone, and this is where the dip is, where you have the belly that is, creating the ponding issue. So this area is the area that will be probably receive the most amount of stone, where we would actually probably go thicker than 8 inches of stone in that area, and filling it in with different types of stone to kind of level that up. Wouldn't be a full splash pad, I would say, but it's probably it's going to taper out a little bit to try to make that work. I have an aerial photo. It's a locus, as you can see where it is on Mechanic Street, but I took an aerial photo. You can kind of see, I kind of marked up the same areas where you kind of look. So it's basically just after the boulder. It's right around this area is where it has the bend, and we would taper it out. So any questions, comments?
Well, I think we were all in agreement that we needed to establish, positive flow away from the outfall. Mm-hmm. And I know that it was a challenge to work this out. I also know that you weren't getting a lot of cooperation from Mass DOT.
Probably a very strong understatement.
Well, Jeff, they require you to make drainage improvements and then take no responsibility at all. So it's a sore point with us as well. However, I think that you have gone above and beyond to wrestle with the problem and to come up with a solution that looks like it's definitely workable. Now, I think Frank just got this information today. Mm-hmm. The administrator.
However, I did have a chance to take a look at it over dinner. So,
Oh.
but
Some light reading.
there's a good, well, it was well done. So I think a lot of my questions you just answered. I was wondering how you're going to actually get equipment in there and minimize that. You've already taken care of that. I think you've gone out of your way to make this as minimal in impact as possible. A couple of real minor questions though, and I know it's going to be tough, but I would presume you're going to put maybe down the downstream end or whatever, some, I don't know, some sort of straw wattles or something like that across the stream. It depends upon if it's raining or something like that, I would imagine, or if there's water flowing in the culvert. If there's no water flowing in the culvert, and I'm not sure you have to worry about, but just wondering if there's water flowing, are you going to try to stop it up, or how are you going to sort of prevent the water from flowing through while you're doing the work?
So that is going to be a little bit of a trick, and we're definitely going to have to play with the timing of this and kind of keep our eye on short range forecast for sure. It's a great question, Frank. Too. So I did talk about this with JRD, and I think our intent was to try to stop up from the nearest structure, stop the flow. Can totally do any erosion controls, any straw wattles that we need to do to contain that. And we're more than happy to do that, to try to prevent, any contamination. We're very intent on keeping a very minimal impact here and not creating any additional problems for us, for anyone, especially when it's not our property. So did that answer that? I think basically the short answer is we're going to stop it, and we would try to line that up where in a time where we don't anticipate that we would have a substantial amount of water coming through.
Now,
some of this work also will probably be done. Like, I think what they're looking to do some of their road work in off hours. I don't know if they're going to want to do this off hours. So most of our improvements on 140, they're looking to do overnight.
They may want to do this during the day, because getting the light stanchions in place, because this is a little bit off the roadway, so it might be a little difficult to do in the dark.
I do not disagree with you. So I think that's just something that this is going to be an add to their contract. This is not included in their base contract. I'm gonna have to work out a change order with them. So we'll kind of solve that piece as we go. I'm sure that there's not 100% of their work for the roadway is going to be able to be done during off hours. So we'll try to sequence it and time it. I'm looking to try to. The other thing is I got to look at timing of when at which stage of the game of doing the road work we would do this. I would like to try to push it towards the end. When we're cleaning all the structures and we start getting it going through all of that. But JRD may differ. They may want to try to front load it as much as possible to improve it. I
don't think we're going to put conditions. I don't think we'll put conditions on timing, because we'll rely on the contractors to work out what the best timing is. We'll just want to assure that everything is tidied up at the completion.
Yeah.
So, I think that at our last meeting, you had suggested that DOT wants nothing to do with the maintenance, and what we have in the original filing is that DOT would be the responsible party for the maintenance.
And that's the maintenance. I think you're referring to the maintenance of the roadway.
Of the roadway.
Roadway catch basins.
But I thought at some point during the hearing process, you had said that Campanelli was going to undertake that as part of the maintenance for the apartments.
So we are undertaking cleaning out, doing some periodic maintenance of cleaning the structures. I think where we're kind of trying to draw the line in the sand, respectfully, is that Lincoln Properties would any maintenance for this issue down the road would end up being either property of or responsibility of the landowner and or Mass DOT. And I know that what that really means is the landowner.
Okay.
So, and that's basically something that we're discussing with them. And I think what we've pointed out to them, and it's very clear, even when Russ and I just re-walked this yesterday afternoon, and it's clear that their forebay is really contributing to this. And their forebay looks like it's settled out a little bit. or their spillway, sorry, has settled out a little bit. So I think there's some touch up that they're going to have to do. I don't want to, shouldn't say that on the record. That's really for them to determine, and for as they close out their documents with you.
Well, one of the things, we never got an as-built for that structure. The closest thing we have for an as-built is your on-field survey, and it shows, the survey shows that, their outlet is contributory to the problems there.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and that's what we conveyed to them. So basically what we said in my letter to them was basically like, there's a problem that exists that Conscom wants dealt with, that, it's a mutual problem. It's not just our problem. You're contributing to this problem as well.
Mhm.
And we're looking to resolve it quickly. We just need your permission to access the land and to allow us to make these amendments to the land. We'll have a plan to you forthcoming once we have some agreement with Conscom.
okay. And so I think we will need you to make a little amendment to the operation and maintenance plan, because it does say the DOT will be the responsible party for the maintenance of the roadway structures, right?
Yep.
Doesn't it
So
say?
I think what it would be is that they are responsible for the maintenance, but we are going to be proactive. The Campanelli is going to assume some additional maintenance for, I think what Russ had said was a period of 3 years is if I recall correctly. You might have to go back to the when Russ was on the call if he said anything different. That was my recollection.
Can we clarify that? Can we get a clarification on that, Jeff?
Because we've been developing the permit, and this is like this is the last item, and we want to make sure that we. I don't recall the 3-year
No.
period.
No.
However, if you can elaborate on that, what we were very happy that we felt that structure, those structures would be maintained based on the history of DOT's complete lack of maintenance.
Yeah.
This whole thing in 5 years could be a mess.
Yeah, no, and I'm sure that, like, I don't think 3 years is a hard fast thing, and I could be remembering it incorrectly. So I'll go back to Russell, see if I can get an email out to you guys tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
I think
Perfect.
my understanding is that that they don't want the landowner to be, when we go to convey the property, because I mean that's where we make our we don't make any money during construction. We lose money during construction. We make our money during the conveyance of the property. So I think that he just wants to make sure that this is smooth as possible. So I think Campanelli doesn't really want to necessarily get into a perpetual maintenance agreement on it. But I'm sure a time period of that's suitable for the commission. I'm sure we can agree to it. I just got to review with him where that line is. But I mean, if just to feel it out, if there was a duration that you would want me to bring up to Russ, is there any ideas of where you would want that to be?
No, it's not, I think, so much a duration of time that Campanelli is going to assume maintenance. It's that after you stop assuming maintenance, that the maintenance will be performed. I think that's what our big concern is. And
we don't have control over that.
well, but you've spoken to the person at DOT, and his name is
Nascimento?
Nascimento.
Eric Nascimento.
Yeah. And
He's been pretty candid and forthright with us, I'd say.
saying that he's not going to do anything.
Yep. I mean, I don't think he said he's not going to do anything. I think how he worded it to us was amongst their list of priorities, the maintenance of these structures on 140 were not at the top of their priorities. I think that's how he kind of very diplomatically said it to us. But I mean, we read between the lines that just means it's not there. It's going to be.
I know it's not your problem, but down the road, it's the problem of the residents and potentially of the commission, because what we had there before was abysmal, and we're trying to correct it. But in looking in our crystal ball, we see it becoming an abysmal situation again.
Yeah,
So,
like I said, let me go. I'll shoot an email right after this to Russ, and then I will double check with him what he remembers, and then and feel it out, and then I'll shoot Ann an email, and we can go from there. At the end of the day, I don't think this is, we're looking to close this out. So,
You don't want to be doing this forever? You don't want to be cleaning this forever?
Mhm.
oh, we don't want to be cleaning forever. We also don't want to be have an open hearing forever.
No, we get that. We get that. It's nice to see that Mass DOT is complying with its constraints of MS4. That's all I can say.
Mhm.
So are there any other questions from the commission? Comments?
Is this the first time that the word Talveg has been used in a set of plans?
To my recollection, yes.
Yes, I think
I
so.
had to look it up. I was,
It refers, I believe, to the lowest point of a channel in a water course.
that's one of them, yeah. Subsurface water percolating beneath in the same direction as the surface stream course, or the line of continuous maximum descent from any point on a land surface, or one crossing all contour lines at right angles.
There you go.
It's also the
What-
line following the lowest part of a valley, whether underwater or not. So
What is that word? I'm not sure I'm hearing it correctly.
Talveg,
Talveg.
it's pronounced.
I can't hear it 3 times. What?
It's pronounced Talveg according to the dictionary that I just played it back.
Talwag.
Well, it's German, so that would make sense in the pronunciation. They'd probably more say it Talveg.
Probably.
It's like Schmutzdecker
Mhm.
for water treatment.
So, okay, is that the only question? And to answer the question, I've never seen that term used in my tenure. No.
It's always nice when engineers can expand our understanding of the natural world. I
There
appreciate
you go. And Jeff, don't think we'll forget this one.
it.
Okay, so what I'd like to do, if Jeff will work on the clarification for our wording in the O&M plan, we have the order almost complete. I think this is the last item that we have. So I would like to continue the hearing to the evening of the 27th, at which time we'll have an order prepared. That being the case, I'll entertain a motion to continue the hearing to the evening of April 27th at 7:15, whereby we will have an order of conditions prepared.
So moved.
Ariane,
Second,
Mike. Okay, we'll do a roll call vote on this one. Brian.
Aye.
Ariane,
Aye.
Mike,
aye.
Neil,
I
and Noel.
Aye.
That's a unanimous vote. Okay,
Appreciate everyone's patience and help, working through this with us.
and we appreciate your efforts to design something and construct something that's going to work.
Anytime. Awesome. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you, Jeff.
You too. Okay. The Bellingham Conservation Commission will hold continuations of public hearings in accordance with the Wetlands Protection Act, General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Bellingham Wetlands Protection Bylaw, and the notice of intent for the proposed construction of a 124,200 square foot industrial building with associated parking, access, landscaping, utilities, and stormwater management system located at Assessors Map 52, Lot 3206, Mechanic Street, Bellingham. John Kuchik, Bowler Engineering, Southborough, Mass. has submitted the filing on behalf of Wayne Finnegan, Howland Development, Wilmington, Mass. Continuations will be held online via the Zoom option on Wednesday, April 13th at 7:30. We have an email here. As discussed, we'd like to continue tonight's hearing to your meeting of May 11th. We believe we've addressed all of the planning board's comments and plan to compile an updated set after our hearing with them this Thursday. That will give us plenty of time to prepare and submit to the commission a set of compiled plans. So both the board and commission have the same set of plans to approve. To date, all comments have been very minor and have not impacted the stormwater system or the limited work adjustments to the offsite wetlands. Thank you for your consideration. I think Frank has conducted his review and they have responded, Frank?
That's correct. Yep. And mine, there's no outstanding issues.
No outstanding issues.
I mean, we do want to see changes to the plan when they get them done, but they were relatively minor.
Okay. So that being the case, I'll entertain a motion to continue these hearings to the evening of May 11th at 7.
So moved.
Noel,
Second.
Marianne. Okay, any other discussion?
Mr. Chair, do you know if they addressed the question about snow removal and properly noted it on the plans, along with actual documentation of how they're going to put signage up along the back?
Frank can answer that, I think.
They did say they were going to address it with some changes to the plans. I'm presuming those are some of the changes they're going to put on the new set of plans after we talk to the planning board folks tomorrow night.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen those revised plans.
Okay. And we haven't seen those either, but we've requested that information repeatedly. So hopefully they'll have the signage and they'll elaborate on that.
I don't know if the rest of the commission realized this, but they mentioned this at the planning board meeting. The site where the entrance driveway for all the trucks to enter that site is going to be directly opposite the rapid refill, but it's going to go down. They were talking about the profile of the building and making it look better and so forth, at least coming from Franklin. Coming from Bellingham, apparently they don't care. But it's going to drop down quite a bit to the point where they said that only a couple feet of the tops of these trucks that are parked along the back of the building there will be visible. That's a substantial regrading from what it is now, which is basically street level going back in that direction. I mean, to go down almost, I think he said only a couple feet of the top of the trucks. Frank, you were at that meeting.
Right.
Will be visible, which shocked me because I thought that they were saying the site's not going to get major regrading. And I'm thinking, that's a lot of water that's not going to be channeled down the driveway to the back of the site and have to be dealt with storage. I thought it was pretty flat along the back there when they presented the plans originally. Is that not your viewing of it too? You guys was going to drop down that much?
Yeah, I had thought it was pretty much on grade. It's relatively flat as you walk the site.
Right.
I mean, there's a little bit drop off and stuff like that. Obviously, it drops off to the detention basin way in the back a good amount and stuff like that. But then they have to go back up again to get out onto Maple Street if it's down that low. So I wasn't sure if they're going to put a barrier or something like that to hide the tops of the. They didn't show anything on the plan.
They
On that.
talked about a screen of trees near where you drive in. It'll be on the left side, sort of the Bellingham side of the driveway into the site there. But the drop down, I thought that they actually stated when they provided the initial description of the job to us, and maybe the planning board as well, that the site was not going to be having a lot of regrading and so forth. And I know they're staying well away from the detention basin and the wetlands area, but now there's going to be a substantial flow created by coming down from the driveway area and perhaps the front of the site too. I don't know, maybe that's not pitched the same way from the building front to the back, but that was, I mean, that's probably 10 feet, 8 feet of drop at least for a tractor trailer to have almost all of it not visible from the street.
Yeah, I mean, I had presumed, typically it's about a 4 foot 2 inch reveal from the pavement to the loading dock. And so that's a normal grading change in a facility like this. So another 6 feet or whatever, 4 feet or something, that's a huge change. I would agree. And I don't remember that on the plans. That's not what I saw.
So I just bring that up just because, again, thinking of water flow, something that's relevant to us, and whether that was addressed properly. I mean, they said that the detention basin, the structures in the back of the parking lot would handle all the flow from the roof and from the parking area, but I was thinking of flat site, so I wasn't paying a whole lot of attention to how that was being created and addressed. And maybe it's more planning and not so much Concom, because it's water flow into detention, into water treatment structures and so forth, but just thought I'd bring it up.
Well, remember, the original permit for the Lindemeyer building required that that site be modeled for being 100% impervious. So a grade change like that will affect velocity, but it's not going to affect volume because it had to be modeled for the original construction of the basin as 100% impervious. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know. I realize it might be able to handle all the water coming down there, is what you're saying, even if the water's coming down a little faster, that the structures and the catch basins in the parking area and so forth can handle all the curbing. It's not going to flush over the backside in a heavy rainstorm, supposedly. But it's just, it was more that my perception was pretty strongly that from the initial presentation that they were saying there's not going to be a lot of grading, because that was sort of our concern. Were they going to grade way back to the detention basin? And I thought the presenter, whoever it was at the time, was saying, no, it's not going to be a lot of regrading on the site. You know, it's pretty level, and you know, this building's going to be right here up in the front corner. And I don't say they downplayed it, but I just don't remember that as being well elaborated and on point, whatever. So
Well, Frank's going to be attending the planning board hearing tomorrow. And at that time, based on the email that Ian got, correct me if I'm wrong, I think that they're probably going to be presenting a more current plan. It's the plan that they want to submit to the planning board and to the commission. So, you know, Frank can take a look at that and see if he thinks it's going to be any, if it's going to be problematic.
I'll probably try to take a look at it too if I get a chance to attend the meeting. Frank, do you know if they're providing, or did they provide already a staked out entrance and exits like they were talking about doing for the planning board? Did they already do that and do a sidewalk?
The planning board was supposed to schedule one. I did not attend, so I can't say that they really did that, but they were trying to get something set up for that.
They did. They did.
Apparently they did.
Yeah, they did a site walk. Planning board had a site walk.
Because they were going to stake out the entrance and the exits, which is a point that was asked for explicitly by the planning board members. And I don't recall seeing any stakes along there when I've gone by in the last couple of weeks. Did they take them down again? Because I don't think I see any stakes in that area, and certainly wouldn't bother the people that are there now.
Do not know, but if the planning board asked for that and they went out into the field, I'm sure that it was provided, or if it wasn't, they'll be going out in the field again. Did you hear anything?
So in my conversations with John Cusick today, he did indicate that there was a site walk with the planning board members, and they discussed all of this. So as far as the staking is concerned, he didn't say anything about staking being put in, installed, or removed. So I don't have the answer to that.
Just curious.
Maybe they just painted it.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, Frank?
I just took a look at the site plans quickly, and there's about a 4-foot vertical drop from the entrance off of Mechanic Street down to the back of the site. And they look like they're cutting 3 or 4 feet of that area in the back of the site. So there is some grading that was originally proposed in the plans that we looked at last time. I think depending on the tractor trailer, that might get you 8 feet or so cut off. I don't think, unless you got a small tractor trailer, you're gonna only see 2 feet. That might be higher, depending on the size of the truck.
Well, they're running, what did they run, around 13 feet?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, so the planning board wants to limit, we have warehouses everywhere. And so the planning board wants to start hiding trailers on the major thoroughfares, you know, they might be better served to do something with screening, but the planting idea might be good. So maybe it's a combination of both.
I get the impression, maybe mistakenly, that it was the developer who was proposing the drop down and so forth. I didn't hear the planning board saying like, oh, good, that we're getting what we wanted. But yeah, I wasn't privy to every conversation. So yeah, the screening coming from Bellingham going out of town past that building, I think there is going to be almost zero, except right by the driveway there, attempt to do anything to mitigate the view of the back 30, 45 feet, whatever it is going to be in height. So it'd be pretty obvious as you leave Bellingham what that is if it goes forward.
Well, thank goodness that we don't have to deal with issues like lighting and traffic and visual screening, so. Okay, so Frank will give us an update, Mike, on what he sees tomorrow, and if there's any substantive changes that might affect our permit. Otherwise, you know, they requested a hearing to the evening of May 11th. That seems reasonable to me. If everything's good, we can start the development of the permit.
Okay, I won't hold up the vote. I wanted to bring up the point and ask the question.
Oh, no, we opened the hearing and we're having a discussion, so it's germane. It's part of the record.
Germain, but not Jeremy. Good, thank you.
Or not German, like the Talwig.
Oh,
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Yeah, I'll entertain a motion to continue the hearing for 206 Mechanic Street to the evening of May 11th.
Didn't we already do that? We had a second.
No, we did. All right, my mistake. So we were doing this under discussion. So we have a yes. Noel made the motion. Ariane seconded. We had discussion. Therefore, I'll call for the vote. Michael.
yes.
Neil.
Yes.
Okay. Brian.
Aye.
Ariane
Aye.
and Noel.
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay. The next hearing we have is for Mellon Street. Do we have someone here from Mellon
It
Street?
doesn't appear that we have Don DiMartino or Bill Housen yet.
All right, well, the hearing's not scheduled till 8 o'clock. Okay, so let me give you an update. I went out on site and witnessed the soil testing at Prospect Hill Estates. This is the 12-lot subdivision off of Prospect Street in Franklin, where all the houses are going to be built in Bellingham. And this is
Lake Street.
yeah, there are 4 lots on Lake Street, and then you make the turn into Franklin. They're building some new houses along there. The access roadway will be there. At the last hearing, if you recall, we had numerous corrections or additional information that they needed to provide, but they had not provided the soil testing data, and they hadn't performed the soil test yet. So I took the time off to go out there and witness their soil tests. And in the basin to the east of the brook, they did 4 pits, and 3 of them, the soils looked pretty good. One of the pits was very funky. I'd never seen soils like that. And in my conversation with Rob Turax, because I wasn't there when they dug those, I came after the fact. We came to the conclusion that it might have been compacted fill that was put in the railroad grade, and that it was probably 120 years old. So it had a profile that was unfamiliar to me. And he said it was somewhat unfamiliar to him too. So they're gonna take that into advisement and see what they can come up with for soils on that location. To the immediate west of the brook was an area where they have to move the stormwater management system because it appears they're only 35 feet away. He was running 3 feet to models. We're going to recommend, because they need 4 feet of separation, the commission at the hearing will recommend that they move it out of the inner riparian zone, because I requested that they do a test just outside the 100-foot riparian zone, and they were down 10 feet, no problems. So, and then in the final site, the final stormwater structure, I witnessed one test. They had a ring of modeling at about 5 to 6 feet. So it looks like those, the first one and the second one will be all right. When I was out there, there was a staff person from Ecotech making sure that all the wetland flags were still in place. I did take the opportunity to do a couple of quick jogs up and down the wetland line, found an area that had not been flagged that was a potential vernal pool. So what I'm going to suggest, if people are available, this is going to be a fairly lengthy site walk, because we're looking at the wetland line, we're looking at the 25-foot no disturb zone, the 50-foot limited activity zone, the 100-foot buffer zone, the 100-foot from mean high annual water inner riparian zone, and the 200-foot from mean high annual water outer riparian zone. There's a lot of things to look at, and the administrator suggested that what we may want to do is just look at the wetland line first. It'll take some time, you know, and they're scheduled for our hearing on the 27th. It might be advantageous for us to get out there to cut the work in half, but also to take a look at a couple of ponded areas that could potentially have egg masses in them. So I don't know if anybody might be available on the 23rd, Saturday the 23rd.
Earth Day that we're cleaning up and volunteering that you sent the email out about? Earth Day cleanup in town?
That's Earth Day, yes.
On the 23rd?
Mhm.
Well, we'll be doing our part for Earth Day.
How long do you want to be out for? I have something coming up in about midday-ish, so I can't be like in a 14.
All right, how about if I tell you it won't be more than 2 hours?
And I'm looking at Ann, not you. Finding her face. She is no eye contact. I don't know.
I'm looking at about 2 hours.
You can tell us anything you want, Cliff.
Well, we would just have to keep it at no longer than 2 hours. That's it. That's long enough.
Are you going to ask for somebody from their group to come out?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yep.
And then what I was going to suggest is, that once Frank gets on board with this, that when it comes time for the determination on the riparian zones and the degraded conditions, that maybe we have Matt come out with us and also see if he recommends a simplified or the more robust habitat, wildlife habitat evaluation. So if we can get the wetland line done, I think we can handle that one. I mean, we've done hundreds of miles of them, so
It's a pretty big area, and
it'll take some time, but if we move along.
If you look at all these different lines and all these different zones and so forth, do they have enough different colored flags to handle that? I mean,
Well, they're in the process of establishing those.
well, I mean, like a different color for each of these zones and riparian and the outer riparian.
They had flags and stakes
So what the plan here is, I think the chairman is suggesting, so we just do the wetland
The
boundaries.
wetland line only.
Not anything to do with the buffer zones or the inner riparian or outer riparian zones, merely the wetland lines. And we might not finish it all,
Yeah,
but
my question is, if it's an extensive site and walking just a wetlands line would be a challenge, and they've started to mark other things, and they happen to be using all the same color or similar colors, and we have to go read each flag as opposed to looking at the line of pink flags and saying, yeah, let's look at this spot here, and down the road it looks good. It might be a little, they might be good to hold back at some of those other markings for, if we're gonna go out that weekend and do that the following week for themselves for the other stuff, but whatever, you guys have one.
Yeah, I mean, if we do the wetland line and we have some changes to make, and for instance, I suggested that I found an area that was inundated and I didn't see any wetland flags. Now, maybe they needed to be refreshed, but it was holding enough water for me to suspect that it had some significant hydro period for wood frogs, fairy shrimp, or some macroinvertebrates. But you know, if we go out there as part of the wetland line, we can look at that. We don't have to look at the rest of it. However, if the wetland line is determined to be accurate, then the 25 and the 50 will be accurate. So when we go out to look at the riparian zone, those will be relatively easy to knock off because we've already done the wetland line.
now, bear in mind that I still have to reach out to the applicant to make sure that the schedule would work for them.
Right, that they can have a staffer out there to meet us.
So it's a tentative, we're just reaching out to see your availability.
I could do a couple of hours.
Yeah, I mean, Paul McManus is the principal of Ecotech, and I believe he did the wetland delineation. He may or may not be available, but you know, anyone from their firm is capable of meeting us in the field and going over the.
May want to remind them to bring the plans. Sometimes these people do, and sometimes.
Yeah, but from what I saw, there's a lot of TOA slope wetlands. That makes it pretty easy. So, yeah, we can get a lot done in 2 hours.
I had some time at lunch today, so I'm using my eating time productively recently. But Cliff, you had mentioned at the last hearing, the zoning bylaw definition of a lot, 90% has to be outside of the
Jurisdiction of the Constitution.
jurisdictional. I looked very quickly. These are real, very preliminary. And I want to say 12 lots or so, 11, 12 lots. And my quick calculation that they're showing did not meet that requirement.
We discussed that in the field, Frank. We discussed that in the field, and their engineer said he had never heard of it. He investigated it, and he said they will make the changes. So they're going to have to reconfigure their lots. Can't ask for more than that. That's another reason why I want to do the wetland line, because we don't have to wait for a new plan. We can get that done. We wanted them to do an ANRAD.
They would have saved themselves a lot of work to not have to redraw that.
They had a fairly substantial list of items that they needed to address. And so I know that Rob Truax, their engineer, was really unprepared for that lot definition. But he did his research and he said, you are correct. If you're going to enforce that lot definition, then we need to make some changes. Now, the applicant's representative said, well, one was
Why
that.
wouldn't we enforce it?
I don't know. It's in our regulations. It has to meet all of the standard definitions of zoning and planning. So, I mean, it's there. The applicant himself tried to convince me that it was a pre-existing non-conforming lot. And I said, well, yeah, you have one lot. I said, you are subdividing that, therefore they are subject to the definition. And their engineer agreed. So they know what they have to do. But Frank, thanks for bringing that up. But it's another reason why we can get ahead of the curve and do the wetland verification.
So then we find out who else can come.
So can anybody else come other than Mike? Mr. Stanley? Ladies?
What day was it again?
It's
Saturday the 23rd.
Saturday, April 23rd.
Yeah, I can probably go.
Well, that would be awesome. That would be awesome. All right,
I should be able.
Brian.
So what I'll do then is I'll reach out and see if we can get somebody to Paul McManus to walk with us on that day, and then I'll let everyone know.
Okay. Good, thank you. So we want to keep that one moving. And this is a good start.
Mr. Chair, a real quick thing for the administrator. I didn't bring it up because for some reason my screen was blocking it. I was reading over the special conditions for Mechanic Street and it's just one minor typo, since you're going to be resubmitting that stuff, right?
We're going to be resubmitting, yeah, so you can send that to me by email and I'll correct it because we have to modify it anyway.
Yeah, we have.
Just one letter, no big deal. Okay, thanks.
Okay,
Thanks, Mike.
yep. Okay, done.
Yes, but, oh, Bill is here, good. Yeah, good.
All right. The Bellingham Conservation Commission will hold continuations of public hearings in accordance with Wetlands Protection Act, General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40 of the Bellingham Wetlands Protection Bylaw. Nope, this is the wrong one.
Mellon Street,
Mellon Street, sorry.
that's not Mellon Street?
Nope, it's 79 Maple Street.
Okay. Stockholm, Williamstown. Here it is. That's,
Excuse me,
sorry.
no problem. Bellingham Conservation Commission will hold continuation of public hearing in accordance with the Wetlands Protection Act, General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40 of the proposed roadway drainage improvements, including abandonment of an existing culvert and installation of a new 15-inch RCP with 2 head walls with proposed impacts of approximately 50 square feet of bordering vegetated wetlands and association buffer zone located in the roadway right-of-way on Mellon Street, Bellingham. William Housing, Land Planning, Hartford Avenue, Bellingham has submitted the filing on behalf of Don DiMartino, DPW Director, Bellingham, Mass. The continuations will be held online via the Zoom option on Wednesday, April 23rd at 8. We're a couple of minutes early, but I don't think there are going to be any complaints.
Good evening.
All right. Good evening,
Hi,
Bill.
Bill.
So did you guys receive the email I sent out yesterday with the minor revisions to the plan?
We did, but the board would like you to
Share your screen and
Absolutely.
we'll go over the plans.
Yep.
this is in response to this.
There we go. So can everyone see that plan okay?
Sure, yep.
Just going to zoom in a little bit.
Good idea.
Even more, maybe.
Okay. So of the major changes that we made was per Don's instruction to just fill in that existing culvert so as not to make any disturbance within the resource area on either side. So it'll be just bricked up on either end and filled with flowable fill. So we shouldn't have any compaction problems. With the new culvert crosses the road at that point, the existing pipe will be broken out. So with that, we were able to move the silt fence right against the resource area at the ends of the new culvert. So no disturbance is proposed within a wetland on either side of the roadway.
Bill, could you just zoom in on that a little more?
Yeah, sure. This is where it's better than being in person, huh?
Okay,
How's that?
that's good.
Very nice.
That's good.
Yeah, so right here, here's the silt fence as currently proposed. We got to get right against the resource area and the culvert so the flow will work. So we got that right there. Riprap goes right up to the edge. Same on this other side over here. So we left a little room to work because the folks are going to need that.
Okay, so what we had done is the commission had thought that it would be a good idea to engage Frank to do a quick review on this. Now, and what we're going to do, Frank, we'll talk to you about this later, but based on what we saw in the field, it's the opinion of the commission that it won't be necessary to do a review. One of the things we were really concerned about was the change of the upstream wetland characteristics, but the ponding that occurs is a result of the fact that the flow through the existing pipe actually has to percolate through all of the silt to get out the other side. So there's really going to be no danger of flooding because we'll establish positive flow, and the amount of water that's upstream we don't see will be any possibility of downstream scouring.
Mhm.
So we're thinking that we're probably going to be okay on that, Frank.
It's not a real, it's not even it's not a stream. It's just two wetlands on each side.
Looks like it's primarily fed by maybe groundwater. We don't know. We couldn't find any contributory source. So,
That's sort of, I mean, I took one of my little quick during a meal break, looking at this when I got it earlier today. And now I noted that there were some slight changes in elevations of the culverts, but if you're telling me that there was a blockage upstream and downstream, and I was wondering, the existing culvert seemed to be going uphill and the downstream side was higher, look at the contours. And so the culvert that's being proposed seems to be in the right location. And the question about how you're gonna take out the old culvert and put in the new one, they just answered, so I'm not so concerned about that. And really, my main question was, this is not a standard filing notice of intent under the wetland. I mean, I know it is, but not all the background material is there and stuff like that. I presume there was a backstory to that it was not needed. And so I think for what you just said, that makes sense to me.
well, actually, I think that when the NOI was submitted, it probably would have been helpful to have a little more descriptive narrative.
Mhm.
And I think this is one of the items that DEP picked up on. I know that the administrator contacted Bill asking him to flesh out with some information to make it easier for us to review, because lately, and good for them, DEP has been sharp on picking up deficiencies in filings. So, but I think DEP is satisfied now with the narrative that we do have and in the work that is being proposed. Is that right, Ann?
After Bill explaining to them that this site is so tight, there's no room to do anything. So Bill and I had a conversation about that, and he already knew what the situation was. It was just a matter of conveying that to DEP to satisfy them. I think the commission, after getting out there on site, understood what we were dealing with, but DEP obviously hadn't gotten out there to really familiarize themselves with what was there. So I believe that the revised narrative was very helpful, Bill.
Thank you.
So,
The only other question I had was, I'm presuming this is going to be a DPW maintained culvert. I didn't say anything on O&M, but I'm presuming if it's the town owns it, they'll use their standard maintenance schedule and stuff.
Yes.
Okay, that's fine.
So that's something I'm going to check.
right. So I see Don DiMartino's present. Is there Anything you want to add here, Don? I think what we're looking at is an acceptable alternative to what's out there now.
No, that's all we really wanted. If that pipe was high and functional, I wouldn't even touched it, but we've got to repave this, we've got to pave that street, and it just seemed stupid not to get a better pipe in there that's not gonna collapse 2 days after I pave it.
Or it collapses while your equipment's running over.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, we don't want a 10-wheeler rolling off of a collapsed pipe.
No. Well, actually, the pipe is probably so full of sediment it wouldn't collapse.
Let's not count on that, and let's just replace it.
So, if I may.
Yeah.
So Bill, if I recall correctly, you had added to the plan something about planting grass or seed or something?
Yeah, we changed our spec of seed. I talked to Scott last week. He was on vacation, unfortunately. So he's suggesting the New England erosion control restoration grass seed mix for dry sites, because clearly no one's going to go out there and water it. And we'll do the erosion control blanket where anything is disturbed on the side of the pavement.
That's good. That's good.
Okay.
And I guess there was an awful lot of trash that was out there that maybe we can include in the order, get that cleaned up while the work is being done.
It looks like everybody who's driving home to that subdivision in Milford ditches their coffee cups before they make the turn into their driveways.
How's that look?
Is there anything else?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
2 quick questions. In the narrative that Bill provided, just wanted, one of the last lines in the first page was stormwater runoff will remain unchanged as the post-construction pavement area will remain the same as the existing condition. No other changes to existing ground covers are proposed. In the original description, and having walked the site, that road is kind of depressed slightly on one side of the road, and there's a lot of standing water, which has been an issue with the rutting of the road as the pavement is broken down over the years. So you're building up the road, we're crowning it as part of the description of the narrative. And while it's staying the same width, because obviously not going to go any wider, isn't that going to increase the flow overall, the surface, if it's functioning properly? I mean, I assume you want the water to hit the road instead of ponding up like it has been, and therefore slowly going off and maybe or maybe not leaving the road or just sitting there and freezing in the winter. It's going to flow off at a steady, relatively even flow, but an increased amount of flow overall. I'm not thinking that's a problem. I'm just pointing out that it says it's not going to change, but I kind of think it would, from a rutted road that's holding water to a road that's crowned and not holding water, if the elevation of the top of the crown is going to be higher than the low side of the road, which I can't remember, Bill, which side of the road it was, but in the picture it shows pretty clearly one of them. I can't remember, it's the downstream side.
Well, the flow can't change because we're not increasing any impervious area, but it'll be better distributed among the embankments on the side of the road as opposed to ponding up. So it'll be what it was pre-stuff building up on the side of the road.
Well, if it was building up, it wasn't flowing, right? I mean, it was ponding and then maybe trickling. Yeah, okay. I don't think it's a problem. I think it's definitely needs to be done. The other question was, I see that the last step in the construction sequencing is removal of all sediment barriers. I assume that's the silt fence as well?
Yes. Yeah.
So in the description, it was step of the construction. It's the right one here. Remove existing pavement, saw cut existing pavement at each end of proposed resurfacing area, and then remove pavement millings from the site. So Don, is that grinding down the road, or is it cutting it up and removing chunks before you repave? How is that being actually done?
That has yet to be actually determined for sure, because there's a couple of different options that we're just learning about now. But the plan right now would be to turn it to a gravel road, regrade it, and repave it.
So
there may be a process that makes that even less disruptive and effectively immediately turns it into cold in place recycled material with just an overlay pavement on it.
Yeah, okay. Well, having stood on the site, it drops off on both sides somewhat, and being so narrow and so close with like no shoulder at all, really. I was just thinking of grinding and cutting. The silt fence will help catch some stuff, but if chunks of asphalt are flying or finer grindings are being propelled as the road is turned up and turned over or ground up. I didn't know if there's any additional preventative temporary barrier at the top of the road at lip as opposed to down into the wetlands somewhat or along the borderline where it's already over the bank that could be catching it if it's needed. That's why I was asking the method. Maybe there's a method.
It's not like this, I mean, if we're reclaiming it, you chew it up so deeply, it's like rototilling it, so it's not.
Right.
It's not like a milling that you've got 5 particles, you're chewing the whole thing up, and that's actually the other process that we're looking at right now is effectively does that, but has, right, as part of it, a sort of a paving machine and mixing machine that mixes asphalt cement and immediately, without leaving it dirt at all. The first piece of equipment chews it up, and by the time you get past the back piece of equipment, which is about 40 feet later, it's put down a surface that is that looks almost like pavement right away. So we're pricing that stuff out for several streets because we're just getting our demo on this product, which has been around for a while, but as usual, it takes Massachusetts a while to get used to using it.
So Don, what do you estimate about a week on this job?
For the pipe work? Or
For the whole thing, for the whole job?
It will, because it will be one bid. It will be, the contractor will probably do all of his pipe work at once, and he's gonna have pipe work to do on a few other sites. So he'll do the
Okay.
pipe work and then come back, maybe even have a subcontractor to be doing the paving, the final paving work. So
Okay.
he will, put the pipe across and put, a 2 or 3 inch mixed patch over that until he comes back and does the paving. Two different kinds of operations.
Okay.
That's my assumption. Who knows? Maybe it is a pretty remote end of town, so he may mobilize to do it. It's also, the project has got not an awful lot of pipe work. It's several different street areas. One is Florida Ave and Mellon Street. Can you get any closer?
Oh, man.
But it may end up being a paving contractor that gets it and subs out the pipe work. That's probably what's going to happen, because that's the majority of it, of the cost is there, but you don't know that when you put a bid out. It's
It's so you'll probably close the road only during work period, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, if in either, whatever we're doing there, we'll close the road and detour it. The Milford Road goes through. It affects very few. So we'll close it as we need to, because it's so narrow, you're not going to keep one lane open at any point when you're doing anything else.
Right.
One other question, Mr. Chair. Don, how is this road treated in the wintertime? Is it the usual, because it's going right basically adjacent on both sides to wetlands?
We have no streets that we exclude, that we use no salt or low salt or sand or anything like that. We don't have anything else to use, but no, there isn't a street in town that we do that on. So
let me ask you, Don, because we discussed this when we were walking the site. Is there any reasonable and effective, both, which may be exclusionary, type of along the guardrail kind of barrier that would catch and deflect most of the stuff back so that it doesn't bounce off into, because I know I've seen the salters and they're going to throw it, 10 feet, maybe 5 to 10 feet with the salt, depending on the size of the machine.
Yeah, I mean, and it would have to just be some type of a barrier, and that, it's not anything that I'm aware of that's out there with the guardrail. It would just be, put fence up in front of it or something like that. So
yeah, we don't have any other areas around town where that kind of a screening fencing or something is in front of or behind, just behind the guardrail to help stop some of that. We don't have any other areas. Just a thought, if we're doing improvements on the road, it'd be nice to try to protect the wetlands and make a little bit of improvement that way too. Obviously, the wetlands have survived all these years. It's not, like it's dead on both sides, but.
Yeah, and I'll guarantee we're not headed out there to, we don't get calls about Mellon Street being icy, so we don't.
Well, no, because
it's probably, and the distance they are from the DPW, it's probably got barely any salt left in the truck when it gets there anyway. So.
All right.
Yeah, we haven't got anything like that anywhere else in town, and I don't. you see fence put on top of guide rail, but that really wouldn't be for that purpose. And that's chain link fence. So it's going to go right through that too. So.
Yeah, I think it'd have to be some sort of, almost like a silt fence, 2 or 3 feet high to catch and bounce stuff back. When you do a cul-de-sac, since you are on and we're talking salting, in looking at a site the other end of town there, what's the
Lover's Lane.
Lover's Lane, thank you. It's got a cul-de-sac at the end. I was telling the developer as we were standing there at the top of the hill there looking down into the wetlands that given the narrowness of the street and the fact it's a cul-de-sac, that I thought, based on what I've seen what the plow is doing in town, they're going to come down to the cul-de-sac, slow down, and when they slow down, they tend to generate more of a toss and piling of salt at the top of the road, or at that area of the road. Is that not correct for a cul-de-sac when you're plowing and paving? I mean, plowing and salting?
Well, the salters are driven by, or controlled to a degree by the speed you're traveling as well. So it's not, it's not like you turn it on 10 or turn it on 7 and it puts the same amount down if you're going 20 miles an hour or if you're going 30 miles an hour. It's geared to the speed of the vehicle. So as they slow down, they're going to naturally put down less. But just the nature of a cul-de-sac is, yeah, you're going to, it's about 3 times the area per linear foot of roadway that you have to salt. So
yeah,
I think Lover's Lane is fairly flat. That's not really an area where we're putting a ton of salt down anyway, because it's not steep. It's not going to get slippery.
It's just the road seems very narrow there. And the developer was saying, oh, the salt will stay in the middle of the road kind of thing. If he goes down, I was like, even if he stays in the middle of the road, it's going to throw it beyond both sides.
Well, it is.
Anyway,
No, not yet.
I
It'd
think
be much easier if it just never got cold.
there you go.
Climate warming.
Yeah.
All right, thanks.
Okay, so
Any other comments?
are there any other comments or questions? Okay. That being the case, what I'd like to do is continue the hearing. So I'm going to continue this hearing to the evening of April 27th at 8 o'clock, at which time we'll have the order prepared. We will open, close, and issue.
So moved.
Mike,
Second.
Brian. Roll call vote. Any other discussion? Okay. Noel,
Aye.
Marianne,
Aye.
Brian. I heard that. Mike
Aye.
and Neil.
Aye.
Okay, that is a unanimous vote. Okay, so we'll start working on the order, and we expect that we'll have that done for our next meeting, when we'll open and close, and then we'll arrange for signatures.
Okay, great. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank
Okay,
you.
take care. Thanks, Don.
Excellent. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you.
Okay, we have the Maple Street. We are a couple of moments ahead of schedule. I'd like to proceed. And we don't have a whole lot of information, so the Bellingham Conservation Commission will hold the public hearing in accordance with the Wetlands Protection Act, General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, in the Bellingham Wetlands Protection Bylaw on the abbreviated notice resource area delineation for the confirmation of 944 linear feet of delineated bordering vegetated wetlands located at Assessors Map 20, Lot 12, 79 Maple Street, Bellingham. Ryan Rosine, Goddard Consulting, North Pole, Mass, has submitted the filing on behalf of Anne Marie Hill, Maple Street, Bellingham. The continuation will be held online via the Zoom option on Wednesday, April 13th at 8:30. Again, we're a few minutes early. So we've engaged a consultant to go out and to redelineate the wetland to see how that compares with the original delineation. That work was undertaken today, and we don't have anything yet to share, but we would expect that by the end of the week, we would be able to distribute the information to the applicant and to the commission. I think I see
Yes.
Ryan. I saw Ryan.
No, I think Tom is here. Tom from Goddard.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Good evening, everybody.
Hi.
Sorry, I'm filling in for Ryan tonight. He is not able to make it, so I will be taking any questions for that or just taking any comments.
Well, that's good. It's going to be easy. It's going to be easy.
Glad to hear that.
We will have to set up a sidewalk though.
Yeah, well, what we'll do is once the information that we're getting from the peer reviewer is distributed, then what we agreed to in the field was a site evaluation with Goddard, with the commission, with the peer reviewer to go over the conditions and make the final determination.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. So I know Andrew, I recognize him. He's been participating.
Mhm.
He's been participating since the first thing. Thank you for your perseverance. Like I said, we did have some discrepancies when the commission reviewed the initial delineation, and we're just getting that work completed under the peer review process. So we will be getting that information out to all interested parties, and at our next meeting, we should be able to have something to report. Now,
Yeah, so what is the plan here? If the work was done today, we'd probably be getting this by the end of the week.
Yep,
So.
we're not doing it this weekend.
Well, no.
Oh, yeah, and we just did something for the
Well,
23rd.
we don't have the 23rd confirmed. We might want to do this one on the 23rd if we have this information, just suggesting.
Okay.
I don't know what everyone else thinks, but.
Nicole Hayes did the wetland delineation. Tom, do you know?
That's correct.
Do you know if she would be available to participate on the 23rd?
The 23rd. I can definitely ask her, but looking at our calendar right now, and she doesn't have anything marked off on that day. So I will definitely ask her, or have Ryan ask her, and then he'll be able to relay that information to you.
Okay, so I think what we'll do
That
is
would be great, because I need to speak with the
peer reviewer.
The PWS who's doing the review too.
So we have lots of schedules to coordinate because we had just tentatively set up a site inspection for a major delineation on the 23rd, but you guys were in queue first. So we'd like to kind of move that one along first. I guess whoever says they can make it first will get the worm.
Okay.
So you'll advise.
So that would be April 23rd.
April 23rd.
So we continue this then.
Well, if we can't get out on the 23rd, I mean, we could try to get out on the 20. We could continue to the 27th, but if we don't get out on the 23rd, that'll be wasted.
I think we should continue to the 27th.
Okay. And so then we'll go
8:15.
No.
Yeah, we changed that.
Okay. Yeah, all right. Or even 8:10.
Why don't we just do it for 8:15? Move that one down. to
Because that's an
8:30.
open and close.
Okay. Well,
All right, well, everything's hanging on who can make what. But we're gonna try to move it along. So I'll entertain a motion to continue to attempt to have a site walk on Saturday, the 23rd, and to continue the hearing to the evening of April 27th at 8:15.
Whether we have the sidewalk or not, correct?
We're gonna have a site walk somewhere.
Right, but no, I want to make sure the motion doesn't tie the two together. So if we don't have the sidewalk, then we don't have to have the hearing.
I
I'm
see.
not sure how you phrased it.
I see.
No, we're gonna have the hearing anyway.
Okay, same. Okay. So moved.
Mike,
Second.
Neil, roll call vote. Noel,
Aye.
Neil,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye, aye.
Ariane,
Aye.
and Brian. Okay, by unanimous vote.
So that's 8:15, April 23rd,
Right,
27th.
See you guys on the 27th.
yeah, and hopefully we'll, no, we may not have revised plans, but if they're required, but we can have some discussion about what's going on. Okay,
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
you got it.
Thank you.
So Seth is here, okay. Bellingham Conservation Commission will hold public hearings in accordance with the Wetlands Protection Act, General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Bellingham Wetlands Protection Bylaw, on the proposed repair to an existing failing septic system located within a buffer zone bordering vegetated wetlands at Assessors Map 94, Lot 56A, 30 Stockholm Street, Bellingham, Mass. Seth LaJoy, LaJoy and Associates has submitted the filing on behalf of Jordan Dubé, Stockholm Street, Bellingham. The hearings will be held online via the Zoom option on Wednesday, April 23rd at 8:45. We're a little early.
Fantastic. How you guys doing?
Doing good, Seth.
Thanks.
Great. You know, I understand that this is going to be a, we're going to have to continue this hearing because I don't think we have a DEP number,
Right.
unfortunately. They've been a little running really behind, I think.
Yeah, they've been lagging.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even see it posted on their listing, which is weird.
You know what? I've got 3 of these and none of them are posted.
Oh,
And I
my.
don't know what the heck's going on. I've received emails from them. They said they wanted electronic filings.
Mhm.
I've sent out those filings and there's nothing, it's crickets. So,
And these are septic repairs.
That's it.
yeah. Okay. Can I ask you guys something? On something like this with DEP lagging the way that they are, this is an RDA with conditions could cover this thing, in my opinion. But I mean, I know I have to bring it in front of you guys as such, but would you be amicable to that in the future?
Well, don't forget, Seth, we have a local bylaw, which would require a filing of a notice of intent anyway. So we always handle the septic systems unless they're like, in the outer buffer zone as notices of intent, simply because of the square footage of disturbance that is being proposed to install the new systems.
But what we will do to try to accommodate, like we always do with septic repairs, Well, the hearing's open, so yeah. The administrator and myself usually go out for septic systems. We review the site conditions, look at the wetland line, and what we'll do is we'll prepare the order for the next meeting.
I got you, and I appreciate that. I mean, it's on this particular site, you know, I mean, you're looking at, it's a very well-defined area that we're working in. I mean, it's literally a backyard. There's a 4-foot retaining wall, and then there's the wetland area, you know. So
In fact, can you share your screen and we'll put it up and see if the commission has any questions?
what would you like me to do here?
Can you share your screen and bring up the plan or record?
I don't know if I can do that from my phone. I don't have that ability to do that.
Okay.
Okay, well,
Is there a commission member who has access to the Dropbox?
I do.
Would you be able to do that for us, Michael?
Sure. Pulling it up now. What do you want? Stormwater report, the NOI, or the plan?
Plans,
just the
Just the
plan
plan.
for 30
Okay,
Stockholm Street.
I could not get this to turn 90 degrees unless there's a trick to it. When I called up, it was sent to us at right angles, and I'm looking at my PDF thing here, and I can see the plan fine, but it's at 90 degrees, so I don't know if that's going to cause an issue for people. Oops. Wait a minute, hold on a second. No, wrong, back up. Wrong side. Hang on.
how about if you turn your screen 90 degrees?
Yeah, I think of that. Hang on one second. You're a genius.
I see it it's oriented properly in the Dropbox, Mike.
Yeah, no, I was looking at the wrong application. I was looking at the Mellon Street one. Sorry. 1 second. Gotta get back to it. So it's Stockholm Street. There we go. Okay, plan. There we go. All right. I'm ready to share. Nicole, you done your thing?
All right, have at it.
Okay, give me 1 second. I'm getting it there. It is. How's that? You want me to zoom in?
Well, we don't see it yet.
Okay.
Oh, we have it.
Excellent.
You want in or out? One part of the plan?
In on the site part, please.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's teeny.
Yeah, he's working on it.
Scroll with this puppy. As far as what this goes.
Yeah, I mean, as you can see, we're extremely limited in terms of the options that we have on the site, you know.
Mm-hmm.
We're kind of pigeonholed into that backyard area.
Yep.
And all of the access to the site has to be done when you're standing in the street looking at the house. It's got to be to the south, which would be to the left of the house, because the right-hand side, that retaining wall it's there, it's standing, but you wouldn't want to drive any vehicles anywhere near it because it could potentially end up in the wetland, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So they're going to be accessing from on the south side of that property.
Okay.
The area, you know, I put the proposed stake straw wattles, you know, basically going off of the garage there to the retaining wall. Now, it should be noted also that the retaining walls are raised up above the ground surface on both the north and west sides of the property. The retaining wall on the south side of the property is about 3 feet high, you know, holding the other property back.
Yeah, we saw that the other property is higher in elevation.
Correct. So any material that would be stockpiled, we would be stockpiling it in that area, you know, within the straw wattles. Probably a lot of it will have to end up ultimately end up being trucked off site.
Live loaded.
Yeah, more likely than not.
Yeah.
Just because of the fact that it's so tight.
There's no room. Okay.
What does existing BDS right there stand for? Location of existing BDS. It looks like BDS. It's hard to read the lines through it.
Oh no, SDS, sewage disposal system.
Okay. Okay.
There's an existing tank and an existing pit out there. So I believe it's a pit or a cesspool of some kind. It's at grade. When you walk out there, you can see it.
That's going to be removed.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
It'll more likely than not, it'll just be filled, you know. I don't, because we don't hit the side of it.
Okay.
We try not to disturb those things if we can avoid it, you know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you have any
No, the administrator and I went out and looked at it. As represented, the site is enclosed by walls. The walls are not in really good condition. The area for proposed soil storage, I'm a little nervous about that with the wattles. It'd be pretty easy to overtop them. So there might be some storage. If they want to use some storage, Seth, I think we'd be better served to have, stake silt fence. It's a little more robust.
That's absolutely. I have no problem if you'd like me to revise the plan and have stake silt fence. I believe that's actually the preference of the contractor would be to do that anyway.
We'll put that in the order.
Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent.
Other than that, what we'll do is we'll probably condition live loading as much as possible and minimize the amount of storage. But there are no alternatives for this one.
Nope.
Are there any questions from the commission?
Is that an actual park there on the locus there? It says something park. I'll zoom way in, but
You'll have to zoom way in.
Yeah,
it was right next to the property. That's what caught my eye.
Well, it's probably Terbesi Park over in Blackstone.
Oh, that's Blackstone over there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
we're right on the border.
They're right on they could throw a rock into Blackstone.
Well, that's one way to clean up.
Not that would be that wouldn't be a nice thing to do.
You should definitely go on a field trip and see what kind of park it is.
As long as the stone is fairly dark in color, black stone, they love them.
All right. So if I see no further questions, I'll entertain the motion to continue this to the evening of April 27th at 8:30, at which time we'll have the order prepared.
Mr. Chair, what's the depth of groundwater there? I didn't see that on the plan. I think it might be in this area right here on the board.
It's on there. I think it's. It is.
We have a plan here.
5 feet.
So
Yeah, modeling is 60 inches.
Yeah, that's correct.
There we go. Okay, so groundwater is observed at 60, and you're going down how far with the set leach field? I'm just wondering if you have the full 4 feet of clearance.
Do we go? We did request a 3-foot waiver so that we could use the plumbing, get the plumbing to go gravity feed.
This is groundwater at 60 and modeling also at 60. 94 using assumed grades. So you need I don't see a local upgrade. So, oh,
On there,
It's gotta be on.
the local upgrade is,
Yeah.
there's 2 spots on that plan that it's.
Upgrade, right?
oh yeah, there it is.
We got it.
Yep. Yep, 3 feet of separation instead of 4.
Yep.
Board of Health already reviewed it.
Correct.
Okay.
So we continue.
So, okay, did we get a motion on that?
I think I threw in my question before I got a motion.
Okay, so once again, I'll entertain a motion to continue the hearing to the evening of April 27th at 8:30. At which time I'll have an order prepared.
So
Very
moved.
good.
Second.
Ariane, I think there are so few people I can hear the voices. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Brian?
Brian, wake up, Brian.
Okay, he's waving. All right. Good. So we'll get to work on that. And Seth, maybe you can light a fire under DEP.
I intend on circling back around with them, yes, on these. It's getting a little ridiculous.
Well, you know, we didn't have the order prepared now anyway. So even if we close the hearing, we wouldn't have it ready
Oh,
for
no.
signature for.
No, that's absolutely fine. Do you guys need me to attend that hearing, or is it something that can be done without me being there?
If we have the number, you will not have to attend.
But I would ask Seth, I don't think we usually send these to you, do we? Do the order?
I try really hard not to have you send them to me, but in this particular instance, I think you probably should, and I will make sure that this gets recorded.
Thank you.
Oh, no, thank you.
All right.
Thank you for your time this evening. It was nice speaking with you, and catch you on the next one.
You bet.
Okay.
Take care.
Take care. Okay, so Frank, relative to the Mellon Street thing, we know you put a little effort into the review. That was going to be on the commission's budget. So if you want to send us, a bill for your time, please do so.
It's your special rate. Wink, wink.
Yeah, it's probably the 0 rate. No, don't worry about that. I have plenty of time. I am always, in recent times, I have been nearly 100% billable every week, even though I am a manager and I'm only supposed to be 80% billable. So don't worry about that. I appreciate the offer, though.
Well,
Okay,
thank
well,
you.
We
Thank you.
appreciate your efforts, and we want to make sure everybody is comfortable with the procedures here.
And he works through lunch.
And he works through lunch and dinner.
And dinner.
Sometimes. I don't lose weight, though, so it's all snacks in between.
You don't want to.
So the history lesson today, is that the Rockets' red glare I'm seeing behind you?
No,
What is that?
That's the fall of Fort Sumter.
that's exactly correct. So
Oh.
today, 1861, Fort Sumter surrendered in Charleston Harbor. And so a little background, but a more interesting story than that, I think, back in November 1860, when things were getting tough in the Confederacy and South Carolina was looking to secede, the government commanded the local commander who was on shore. Actually, the fort was pretty much abandoned. They were refurbishing it. Robert Anderson, Major Robert Anderson, to basically take charge. He had exactly 85 men to take over the fort. And he got a little worried, particularly when South Carolina decided they were going to secede. So he basically moved his 85 men to the fort. However, the repair work was done by a bunch of South Carolinian workers, and they would report on everything in the fort to the Confederate troops forming outside. So that's sort of that piece. But meanwhile, sort of the heroine of the whole story is Major Anderson's wife, who was Eliza Church Anderson. And she got a little worried about her husband being in the middle of a potentially seceded state with only 85 guys. So she actually went with her children, who were all young, to visit President James Buchanan. And he basically, being a Southerner, said, no, I'm not going to send any reinforcements. But she didn't give up. So she was living in New York, and she knew that a sergeant that had served with her husband had retired to the New York police force. So she went down and basically recruited him. He decided yes, and they went down at the beginning of January to South Carolina, and they were going to at least have one more soldier who knew what he was doing get to the fort. When she got down to Charleston, they wouldn't let her, because being a Yankee, although she had grown up and was born in Georgia, she used her political connections in her family to have the governor give her a pass to Fort Sumter. She brought her husband, Sergeant, over, and they had a short visit. She came back at the end of the day and then basically went home. Robert Anderson's brother was there, so he sort of escorted her back to New York City. And it turned out that when the firing started on the 12th of February, the sergeant was one of the guys that when the flag was shot down by one of the 4,000 shells the Confederates lobbed at Fort Sumter, he grabbed it and basically held it up while another person tied it on to the flagstaff at one of the cannons. And so the American flag did fly throughout the battle after being hit by about 4,000 shots and one man being injured on the Union side when the cannon blew up and one Confederate horse being killed. The Union troops running out of ammunition surrendered on the 13th. When they were leaving, they decided to have a 100-gun salute, in part to salute the United States flag going down, in part because they wanted to get rid of the ammunition. The gun blew up and killed one soldier. And a little footnote, one of the captains at Fort Sumter was a gentleman named Abner Doubleday, who later on became a general. And even though he's been credited with basically inventing baseball, it was around before he was involved. So the one person who couldn't do, Abraham Lincoln tried to reinforce the Fort Sumter when he was president and stuff for several times. It didn't work. The wife of the commander was able to bring one more soldier to the fort. So it's just something that the women have a great deal of power. We missed Women's Month last month. They have a great deal of power. So off to Liza Church Anderson.
Well, that's the way it is in this family.
I know the same thing, yes.
All right.
And watch out for those Union carpenters who were Union even though they were Confederates, and that's why they betrayed them. Cliff, are we going to be expecting to hear from Larry and the town clerk's office about the reappointments signing? Do we have to swear in again and all that stuff? Don't they?
Yes.
Yes, we will.
I think Hillary will probably be sending you a notification and a notice to go down and get sworn in.
No bottle of champagne or anything, just.
No champagne.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. Thank you, Amy.
We'll like to hear it. Thank you, Amy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night, all.
All right.
Good night, everyone.
Happy Easter.
Good night.
Happy Easter.
Arrivederci.